Before I came here in San Francisco, there was a pirate. No, it gets worse. There was a pirate threatening a tourist from Brazil with a blowtorch, right? Which, as a pirate, you really shouldn't even have, because you're supposed to be on boats, you're supposed to be around a lot of wood, you shouldn't even have a blowtorch. That's not even a useful weapon for you, right? It should have been a sword, it should have been like a flint pistol, something. That would have made sense. If he had a flint pistol and he pulled it on him, even in the streets of San Francisco, I'd be like, he's on theme. But a full-on blowtorch, how, right? And when I tell you that this man was a pirate, I don't just mean that he was dressed like a pirate. I think he was a pirate. Like, I think he didn't seem like land was treating him well, okay? And so now he has a blowtorch, right? And he's cursing out this person who apparently is this tourist from Brazil, which also, if you're a tourist, I'm not saying don't go to San Francisco, but I'm saying if you are an international tourist coming to the United States, especially for the first time, and the first thing that happens when you get here is a pirate, roll up on you with a blowtorch, which in any language is confusing, by the way. Like, you don't need to be speaking English to understand that this is a wild scenario that's happening right now, right? And so, they're over here arguing. Now, the person who really saved the day was someone that worked at a coffee shop that saw what was happening outside, right? And so then they ran up and they were sneaking up behind the pirate, right? Getting real. Yeah, and it was one of those sneak ups where I was like, ooh, if he turned around, you cooked. Like, if he turned around, because he was quick with it, but he was very smooth with all his movements. But it took him a while to like get close, right? Like, he was. You know what it looked like to me? Okay, like when you go to the zoo and something went wrong, and so then one of the zookeepers like trying to get them back in the cage. Or they trying to like let them know that that kid in front of you, that's not food, but they getting close real slow. Like, they're just like, okay, buddy, all right. It's because you know what it is? You can tell the level of danger somebody knows they're in as they approach it by the hip movement. Because he wasn't just walking up like, he really like was pivoting as he was getting in. He was like, all right. Okay, all right. It feels like if you use hips only to move forward, nobody will hear you. It's like almost a universal thing when people try to sneak up, That's why you don't see, you like, that's not how your grandparents sneak up or whatever. Because if they tried it, like if your grandma tried to sneak up behind you real good and everything, you just be hearing. So she's like, I'm gonna have to lean, right? But anyway, this dude is like sneaking up behind him, getting real close, and in an instant, snatches the blowtorch and runs off, right? So now we've sort of neutralized the main threat. But the pirate was like, you think I need that blowtorch? I'm a pirate in San Francisco. On the streets in 2024, I don't need weapons. My presence alone is a threat. And so then somebody's filming the whole thing, which normally I'm like, why do people do this? Why do people film instead of help? You know what I mean? Like, why do people just from afar and then they're filming and this is another person who could have been helping that because that guy's sneaking up by himself. He's just, you know what I mean? But then, as someone who watches all the videos, I do get it. Like, I do. You want to criticize him, but if it wasn't for this guy filming, I wouldn't know this was happening. This didn't make the news. It's just regular San Francisco 5 p.m., right? So then, sneaking up, snatches the blowtorch, runs off, right? Now, as he's running off, now this was almost cinematic. You couldn't have planned this better. Because as the coffee shop worker who was running off with the blowtorch passes the camera, like right as his head past the camera, you see that the pirate had already started punching, right? So it was just boom like that, right? Now this guy tries to roll with it, and he had good form, especially for a tourist that is being approached by a pirate. I would have just been hit. I would have just been like I don't think I would have moved. Like, this dude really rolled with the punch. Now this is when the two nudists come into the picture, right? Because there were some nudists that were there anyway. They were going to be naked no matter what. So when the two nudists come up, they're like, this is what we do. We didn't get, because a part of you, if you don't know anything about the culture, you thinking like, oh, they see a pirate, they're like, it must be safe to get naked. They just let you do whatever you want. So they were naked anyway, right? So then one of the nudists sees what just happened, sees that this tourist has been assaulted by this pirate. So then he run up and come in with it was really beautiful sequence, because basically the pirate was like, bow, right? And then the nudist comes up and it's like, bow. And then when the nudist swings, okay, so the nudist hit so hard that he did lose his footing, right? So then him and the pirate both fall. And now this is the first point in time where the pirate looks like somebody in this scenario is more uncomfortable than me, right? Like because you see, okay, so the pirate punches that dude and he's clearly like having his own journey, right? But what snaps him back to reality in a moment's time is not only being hit by the nudist, but when they both fall, you can see the pirate. Okay, so the pirate his back is to the camera and you can't really hear him, but you can hear this little like, and then him and the nudist are getting up. Now, if you think, I try to put myself in the mindset of everybody involved in the video, right? Because there's a lot going on, We already got this hero who snatched the blowtorch. Now, this person, we don't know how long they've lived in San Francisco. We don't know how long they worked at the coffee shop. We don't know how long they've known this pirate, right? But the way they sprung into action, you could tell it was like, I have to do something, right? They took it upon themselves. Now, as the tourist, I've already mentioned, you being accosted by this pirate, that's weird enough to make a person freeze, right? But for a second, I want all of us to put ourselves in the mind of the pirate, all right? Because the pirate, we don't know exactly what was going through this individual's mind, but we know it was something to do with maybe this tourist, maybe he thinks this tourist stole some of his booty, maybe he thinks maybe the tourist is standing on the X that he's trying to dig right now. We don't know what's going through his mind, okay? All we know is that he feels emboldened enough and passionate enough to start swinging. And as soon as he starts swinging, he gets a right cross from out of nowhere. He doesn't know anybody else is in this situation with him except this guy. And so then he gets his right cross, so he fall, and the person that hit him also fall. And then when he looks forward, he sees a naked man. So you can see, even on the pirate, like, oh, I didn't sign up for this. This is too much. Wouldn't that be funny if the pirate was like, I'm a Christian, I don't really... But the pirate is also like getting up and everything. Now, the nudist was fast. So the nudist got up before the pirate really knew what happened, because you could tell the pirate calibrating. Like, when did he get naked? Was he always naked behind me. You could tell the pirate got other stuff on his mind. So he tried to get up, but he's also like, when did this guy? And so then the nudist gets up, and the nudist tries to get another lick in before the pirate can get up, because to be fair to everybody involved, you don't know how quick and strong this pirate is, right? Like, is this a PCP pirate, or is this a meth pirate, or is this a crack pirate? We don't know. There are categories, and we don't know which one he falls into. You got your first lucky shot on him, and that didn't knock him out, so now you're in trouble, right? So the nudist gets up quick, and when the nudist, okay, he goes to do this thing that you really only see happen in like bus fights, where the pirate's still on the ground, and he tries to do a little like wow, like he tries to do like an uppercut as he's getting up, and I think he misses. He either missed or it didn't faze the pirate at all. He probably got hit and was still like, where did this guy come from? Because also the nudists were white. And so it's on top of seeing a naked man, you seeing shades of pink coming at you. Because you got to remember, this nudist ready to fight. So you're not in a regular fight with another dude. Like, also, by the way, I'm pretty sure if I remember the video correctly, the tourist has not left, but he has taken... He's taking the position of an audience member. He's just like, man, he's crazy. And so then the pirate tries to get that extra lick in, and I think he missed and everything. And then the pirate... They have a couple more little scuffles, because you can tell that the pirate trying to like fight, but he's not trying to get too close. Which is, look, as far as a tactic, because there's a lot that people don't know about martial arts. There's a lot people don't know about self-defense. And it didn't occur to me until I saw that video that man to man, for real, like if you ever in a fight and you don't really want to fight, and you know your opponent doesn't have a gun, right? It's just man on man, fisticuffs, right? It would help to get naked. I think the level to which somebody want to fight you goes down the more naked you get. You know what I mean? Like if we have, like you bigger than me, if we have problems right now and you coming at me, but I'm just, like that switches things up for you. Cause now you like, what am I gonna punch? Like, am I gonna... Because even if you win and you don't really want to, even if you punching, you just don't really want the risk of touching balls like that. Like if you, because let's say we going head body, but then I go high and you go low, and now all of a sudden my whole knuckles get grazed. But you see, y'all groaning, but I'm right. You don't want to fight now. Next time somebody try you in the street, fellas, just start. Because dudes already take their shirt off. The problem is they not stopping. That's the problem. They not stopping the whole fight by just taking the rest off. Because the shirt is like, you're not going to be that encumbered by the shirt, right? Might as well drop the pants. Yeah. Even take the shoes off. Really confuse them, right? And so you can tell that the pirate really doesn't want to like fully get in there. And so the whole thing starts to just fall apart. And the whole time I was thinking like, wow. I was trying to once again put myself in the mindset of everybody involved. Like we went through what the tourist must have been thinking, what the pirate must have been thinking. Even the nudist. News had to have something going on in his head to be like, I have to help. This guy is a blowtorch. And even though somebody just took it from, he's clearly trying to attack this person. He just attacked this person. I need to do something, right? I should call somebody. But you don't have any pockets. I wonder if he reached for it too. Like, we need to get the police. I guess it's me then. Then he ran in like a Superman with his balls out, right? But what I really can't shake is what must have been going on in that second nudist mind. Because both nudists, they were together, by the way. I don't want you to think in the story there was one nudist and then another nudist. They knew each other, right? Maybe they were just walking, enjoying a day, sunning. And then they see all this yelling going on. What was that? What could be happening? And then they see this guy has a blowtorch to his side. They're like, oh, I hope he doesn't intend to use it. And then, they see this guy strike, and then, first nudist just jumps in, starts swinging. Doesn't really have his footing right, doesn't really have his hands ready, but he's trying. That second nudist must have been like, damn, I think they got it. Like, I think they good, you know what I mean? I do like how, I'm not saying they waited in a way that, I don't mean this person was being courageous for stepping in, but I do understand the self-preservation that takes place where you wait to jump in till that blowtorch is gone, because I'm naked. That blowtorch might burn that tourist, but it would change my life. Yeah. No, it's wild stuff, man. Oh, I also want to say real quick, thank y'all so much for coming to the show. Thank y'all for being here. Thank you for an amazing weekend and everything. I don't know, when y'all might have seen me for the first time or anything, or what maybe video it was. I've been posting to YouTube for like a year now, and I started it a year ago where I was just like, just sharing like my thoughts on things, sharing my jokes, feelings on stuff, and I appreciate it because it really, I don't know, that was the thing that really turned everything around, and I got to, in some ways, like meet you, and now I'm getting to meet you for real, and I appreciate this opportunity because it's like, I don't know when you may have seen your first video, or if you even know who I am. You might be like, she brought me. Like, that's also very fair. I will not be offended at all, right? But I appreciate you, for real. I appreciate you taking a chance on me and coming here to have a good time and letting me talk to you and everything. I've done lots of shows that were not. I've done shows where they didn't know I was coming, right? I've done shows where they booked me to do the show, and then I show up, and they're like, oh, we also gonna play the Blackhawks game behind you. And I'm like, oh, does anybody want a show? He's like, no, it's a surprise. Don't surprise. So I've definitely done shows that were, on the rough side because people weren't there to hear what I was gonna say. And I get it. I do get it. That's why I don't take anything lightly, that I get to be here in front of you. And everything that I say, I'm not always going to be perfect, but I try to be thoughtful about what I'm saying, And I think sometimes when you bring something up, because you do comedy, people think whatever you bring up, you're making light of to trash it, or that's why sometimes people get uncomfortable when you talk about anything and you're a comic. They're like, oh, this person's going to be shitty, right? They're going to be shitty about a thing that I care about. And just because I'm talking about something doesn't mean I'm belittling it, right? Like there's a lot of stuff that I take very seriously, but I still feel like I need to talk about because conversation is important, And oh, thank you. I appreciate it. Thanks. We'll see. It's been a scary day. You know? It has. It's like, I hope you're not finding out from me. But someone at a rally, someone, don't do that. I'm just telling you what happened. At a rally, someone shot at Trump while he was doing his rally, and I still don't know. There's so much we don't know, but some people say it was a bullet and some people say it was glass, but either way, he got a cut over his ear and the person that was behind him got shot and they died. Right? And they've apparently shot the suspected gunman and everything, and it's just it's one of the wildest days in a long time, because there are days that are like checkpoints throughout American history. Like we had a birth as a country, and then you can set the checkpoints wherever you want, but there are big ones. There are big ones like the country starts and then there's a civil war later, right? And the Civil War is a turning point for the country forever. You know what I mean? There are people that even now say we're more divided than ever, and I like to remind them that we did have a civil war. Yeah, you know what I mean? Then you need to read a history book. Then ever. Ever? No, not ever. You know? So you have something like the turning point that happens due to a civil war, which even now, even to this day, hundreds of years, there are people that are hundreds of years removed from the people leading up to the civil war that were in their family, that they still have differing opinions on the Civil War, why it happened, how it went down, what should have happened, right? And then you have Lincoln's assassination. That's another turning point for the country forever, right? Because once things are put on the table with time, they're never taken off. There's always something that could happen, you know? And then you fast forward more, and we've had turning points. We've had really scary days. And people can belittle it as much as they want or whatever, but we've had times where we're like, oh, are we a country anymore? And so you see those moments like that, right? And there are people who are even now, they're afraid, right? They're afraid that there's going to be another version of the Civil War, right? Because the people that hate people so much throughout this country for whatever political affiliation for whatever they say. This is the thing about being online as well. When you go around, I go everywhere. I try to go everywhere. And I'm trying to meet people everywhere. And when I meet these people, almost all the people, and some of them are having a bad day, some of them have had a past, whatever, but most people, pretty pleasant, right? It's easy to forget that online. Because online, people have the safety to be a troll, and there's also bots. So you could go through your life and bump into people all day and have nothing but beautiful experiences. But then you get online and you post a picture of yourself because you're happy about, maybe something that you bought and you look good in. And there's all the comments under it. Why are you wearing that skirt, bitch? It's like that is happening in real life, but that is not real life. Right? The people that you meet in person are real life. The people that you meet every day, that's real life, right? So I'm not saying it's real life as in it doesn't matter. I'm specifically saying that the grace that you give in person that's our better nature. That's what we would hopefully have all the time. It's being online that makes people monsters to you before you meet them. You look at those pinpoints, and there are people that are worried about us falling into the trap of another civil war, so much hate, right? And I personally don't think that's going to happen. I'm not just hopeful. I actually don't think that's going to happen because if I'm being honest with everyone in here, we don't have the grit. I'm not saying that there aren't people with guns. I'm not saying that people have murderous intentions for their fellow Americans. I'm saying that as a country, we would get tired too fast. We would. Like it would be day 8 and there'd be people in America wake up on whatever side you on being like, again? No, I'm not saying that violence is impossible, and I pray it doesn't happen. I pray even more now that it doesn't happen than I did before, but I think that it's not going to split up the way that it did. You got to remember, the country was full of colonies, and travel was difficult. So when the country split and we had our full-on civil war, it was a different time truly, right? And now you have family that lives here, you have family that lives over there, you have family who's moving. Because we're too interconnected now in a way that I think is good, in a way that actually forms a union, right? We're quilted together now. So no matter how you split us up, whether it's north and south, east and west, eventually, whatever side of the war you're on, eventually someone would be like, I just want a good taco. You know, I believe what I believe in, whatever, but I cannot have another bagel. I am stopped up. For my health, I can't do it. And we don't know anything yet. Like we really don't. Everyone's talking, right? It just happened. So everybody is talking, you know? It happened like 6 hours ago and everybody's talking, everybody's speculating. There's already the conspiracy theories, there's already like some vitriol started. We don't know, and we can't act like we know just because we feel a lot, right? Because this is the other thing. You talk about pinpoints in time, you talk about checkpoints. Civil War then leads to Lincoln's assassination. That's another checkpoint that we cannot come back from, because once things are on the table, they're on the table for the rest of time. That's why you have to be careful what you say and what you do, you know? And so then you fast forward even more. It makes me think about the assassination attempt on Reagan. Because Reagan, you know, Reagan still is one of those figures that's like either beloved or absolutely despised, right? The policies they put forward and the aftermath afterward, you know, people feel how they feel about it, right? But when you think about that person that shot Reagan, right? We were in a different time of division back then. It was still pretty, you know, relatively civil, relatively ideal by today's standards, right? But let's say we had lost our minds then and been like, oh, this is a plot. This is an inside job. This is a conspiracy. Let's say we lost our minds when Reagan got shot, and then you actually talk to the shooter and then you find out why he did. He's like, oh, I just wanted Jodie Foster to like me. Imagine that, though. Imagine if we had lost our minds. Imagine if we had had some sort of civil war, some sort of backlash, some sort of retribution over here, all for somebody who's like, did Jodie Foster see it, or just trying to find out what Jodie doing? That's my thing. That's my sincere hope, right? I'm hopeful, and I hope you know that I pray for all of you. I pray for all of us, like I do. And even if you don't subscribe to whatever metaphysical subscription you hold, right? You know, Because at the end of the day, we really are all Americans. I know it doesn't feel that way, but every one of us, just by the reaction that y'all had when I told you that somebody died, you know that we all still have our humanity. We don't want to see anything bad actually happen to anybody. Because you don't know that person. You don't know anything about the person that died today. But you know that they were an American. And you know they were a human being, right? And so I think that what I've decided when it happened, and I can only speak for me, I'm not going to tell you what to do. No matter anyone listening to me, you can do what you want. But when I saw it happen, I decided in that moment that this right here is where I'm going to plant my feet, right? I'm not going to let this make me radical one way or the other. I'm not going to lose my mind because we don't know. And two, the humanity we show to each other just in passing, that's really important. And honestly, all this is going to be funny again in a minute. I haven't forgotten, like I didn't forget. Like I wasn't like, let me get him with the yuck yucks and now lock the door. Like I just hope, like my sincere hope is that this can be the thing that like scares us straight. You know what I mean? Like this can be the thing. It's like, oh, actually, you know what? I don't actually want any violence. I don't want anything bad to happen. You know what I mean? Because they're snowballs, right? So I just, I think about that, and I think about, if you're not familiar with the show Scared Straight, basically what they do is they take kids, right? Then kids who are pretty bad, right? They're like bad kids, and then and the kids are very hard to root for because by the beginning of the episode, they're always like, I punched my grandma in her face, right? And then they take them to jail and they spend a weekend at jail because it really just takes a weekend. They spend a weekend at jail with the inmates and then they try to do what they do at home with the inmates. Like, I punched my grandma in the face, and then one of the inmates is like, kiss me. And it's just, it changes, right? It changes the vibe. And I'm not saying it works for every kid, by the way. I'm not saying that this is a foolproof thing. We can talk about child psychology however you want, but I'm saying for the kids that it does work for, it was actually something bad happening that woke them up, right? It wasn't just me coming to my senses one day. It was like, this is rock bottom. You know? You don't just wait for rock bottom. You don't just try to fall until you find it. You can decide it for yourself. This feels like granite. I think I'll stop here, right? But I also know that, like, sometimes if you don't say anything, if the thing goes unsaid, people think it goes unthought, right? And if you don't reach out to people don't know you care about them. I care truly. And people are going to feel the way they feel about me or feel about me talking about this, but I care about every single American in a serious way. We're a country, and we're a country of people that are different. We're a family of people that sometimes hate each other. That's what family does most of the time. I went and got a dentist through unconventional means. Basically, my dentist was handing out coupons. You know the little door knocker coupons that they put on the doorknob? Okay, so my dentist had been putting those on the doors in my neighborhood, and so I came home one day and I grabbed it and came inside. It was that and 2 pizza coupons, and I was reading it. I really don't even remember what the deals were, but this is when everybody was trying to make everything a coupon, like in 2013, 14, when everybody was like, Groupon was big and all this stuff like that. Like, I don't remember what the deals were, but it was like 2 teeth, get 1 free. Whatever it was, I don't remember. All I remember is there was a teeth cleaning on there, and so I was like, oh, okay, I'm gonna go get my teeth cleaned at my new dentist, because if this dentist has coupons, this is the dentist for me. I have no money. And I didn't have like dental or anything, so I was like, I need any break I can get. Now, I went there, and the dental assistant was very professional. She was very good, you know? And that's my thing, is that any professional of any type, you want them to be confident in their competence, right? Like you want that's why you lean on them, because they look like they know what they're doing, and they have the confidence in somebody that knows what they're doing, so you just leave it to them, right? If there's any point where you have to question that, it ruins the whole yeah, I mean, like I've been on the bus before where the bus driver looked lost. And I'm sitting, I'm like, why is he checking his phone? Like, but I'm in this dentist office. The dental assistant is amazing, and she's, very quick, and she's asking me the questions. They even do the x-ray of my teeth where they put the thing in their mouth. They're like, doo, 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 doo. That's your teeth, right? Like, she did all that stuff. And then my dentist comes in. And my dentist, my new dentist, walks in. And he is very clearly missing a tooth. And it's not like a wide smile, back of the mouth chewing tooth. This is one of the stars of the show. This is one of the teeth that when you smile goes like, ba-da, like it's. And so he missed, I don't know how to describe this, but he misses the tooth hard. Like he might as well be missing two teeth the way he missing this tooth, because it's not a center tooth, but it's one of those teeth where because it's missing, I don't know how big it should be, so it feel like he missing the whole front row. Like it's very distracting, right? And so then he come in, and I don't know if it was recent that he lost his tooth or something, but the space in relation to his tongue is causing some slippage, and it's making him lisp, right? And so he walks in, and he's like, "Hi, how are you? Have a seat." Because I stood up to shake his hand and everything. He's like, "Yeah, have a seat." And I'm like, and then this dude is like, so he's sitting next to me, right? And he's talking, and he's asking me all the questions. And then so, how much do you floss? And this, so I was getting upset in the chair because, he's asking me, how much do you floss? And I'm like, oh, I floss every day. He's like, are you sore? And I'm like, I got so upset. I didn't say this out loud. I said it in my head, but I was like, okay, but which one of us is missing? You know what I mean? Like, how dare you question what I'm doing over here when I'm working with a full set? You know what I mean? Like that. That's why. Are you sore? Like, I was like, that's unacceptable. Because he was getting snippy with it, which I didn't like. That's attitude, right? And so then I'm like, yeah, I'm sure. And then I don't like how he's going about it, because you know how the dentist will, sometimes the dental assistant will do it, but sometimes the dentist specifically will go through with the floss again and go over the dental assistant's work, if they didn't feel like they did it right. And then he was grabbing all the tools, like the little sharp, little poke, the tools of the devil, right? He was grabbing all of them, and he was in my mouth and everything. And I don't know how to describe this, but I don't like, he being rough with my mouth, you know what I mean? And he being rough in a way that's like, like when you driving and somebody got a beat up car, so they driving reckless because they don't care. They don't care anymore what happens to their car, so they might as well bust up your car because their car's already doomed, right? And you'll see it'll be like a busted tail light and just no bumper at all. And they taking some real risks without turning lights on, right? They won't have that blinker on at all. They just be picking whatever lane they want because they're like, hit me, I dare you, right? Hit me. You might knock something back right. You'll be doing me a favor. Go ahead and hit me, okay? And so that's how he's being in my mouth because he's really like going hard. And then he gets to the tooth on me that he missing and he really give it up. And I'm like, that's not okay, you know? Just because it's over for you doesn't mean like I still have a future, you know what I mean? Like, how dare you do that? And so then, you know, I don't know if it's because I'm young and I'm just like not really thinking or because I'm awkward in a lot of social situations anyway. But finally, I was just like, so what happened?
What just happened?
And then this man had the nerve to go, what, this? What else could I mean, sir? No, there's something on your lip. No. He's like, oh, this? I was like, yeah. And then he takes the tools out, you know, the little hose that they have in your mouth, and just sucking up all. So he puts that to the side, puts the tools down, puts his hands on his knees, and goes. Got sullen, right? I felt bad for asking. He got really quiet and sullen. He was like, I hoped you wouldn't notice. Sir, you came in here teeth first. Smiling in my face. And you thought I wouldn't notice one of the main teeth.
Rude.
I can't stress this enough. Like, it was one of the teeth that if he committed a crime, that would be how they got him. Like, that's... Do you know what I mean? Like if he stole something tonight, they'd be like, it was this one that was... You know what I mean? Didn't even have a gold tooth in there. Didn't even have something to be like, oh, I'm a different type of dentist, right? It didn't... Just avoid. And it was big enough I could see through, like I could see his throat. Like it was... And he got sullen and he was like, it's actually recent. I was out with some friends. And this is my thing. Okay, like, I know he telling me the story because it wasn't even my business, so he didn't have to tell me anything. So I know he's doing me a favor by telling me the story, but I swear to you, this man hit every S possible in this story. He didn't avoid any of them. I was like, what are you doing right now? Bro, every single S? That's crazy. So he's like, so I was at Buffalo Wild Wings. I was out with some friends, and we were watching the sports on the little sports center they have with all the TVs and everything. There was one of my friends that I hadn't seen in a very long time from college. It was very serendipitous, and I was like, that... Don't do that. You didn't need that one at all. That was... You could have said fortunate. And so then, you know, we're sitting there, and you know, I was having a good old time. I was sucking the sauce off my fingers and everything. And then there were some guys a few booths away that I would start jawing at one of my friends. I guess they knew him from his past or something. And so then they would start talking, you know, over at us. And so then, you know, we went over there and, you know, they were out here talking shit. And It's like truly some of the most Chicago shit I've ever heard in my life because he's like out here talking shit, and then I went ahead and I popped one in their mouth, and then he popped me right back, and I swallowed, so that's why I'm missing the tooth, and I heard that and I was like, oh, is that all? Okay, go ahead. Go back to work. Yeah. You a good dentist. You was not a good fighter. I get you. Okay. Yeah. Maybe next time let them talk,
Start clapping right now. Start clapping for Josh Johnson, y'all. Let him hear it.
I've been genuinely obsessed since I saw it from the moment that it happened. It was around Thanksgiving, and what a thing to be thankful for. Wow. I can't stop reading Drake's filing. Drake's court filing. Suing UMG. I mean, Drake suing UMG, Spotify, I think iHeartRadio, yeah. Like, he's suing everybody but Kendrick. Like, all right. In case you don't know, because I don't expect everybody to just know everything I'm talking about all the time. In case you don't know, Kendrick Lamar is a rapper. He's a phenomenal rapper. Some are saying the best to ever do it, right? There are a lot of people that, except Drake, yeah. Kendrick Lamar is absolutely killing it right now, and he was in a beef with Drake. Now, if you don't know, Drake was a rapper. He was a rapper until Kendrick Lamar rapped while he was rapping, and then they did it at each other, and it did not go well for Drake. Now Drake is suing, and it's such a thing to take apart because it's genuinely complicated, right? Like not just the suit, but the reasoning for the suit, and like who would actually be in like a bad position, A lot of this, weirdly enough, if you go all the way back, starts with Kanye, now known as Ye, right? Now, during his Life of Pablo tour, Ye went on this rant. Now, Ye became known for rants. That was like a thing as far back as the Yeezus tour. Probably started, I actually think it started when he was touring 808 and Heartbreak, where just mid-concert, instead of an intermission, he would go on a wild rant, right? Like, and sometimes the rants would have some genuine little nuggets in them of like, oh, that's an inspiring thing that he said. I'm gonna hold on to that. And then sometimes it would be full of things where you were like, does he know? But he's all right. And in one of these rants that became like part of going to the concert, what's Kanye going to talk about? What's he going to go off on and everything? During Life of Pablo, Ye does this thing where he's like, radio lied to you, right? Now, Ye is probably one of the most imperfect messengers of our time. Like, it's sometimes, hear me out, once in a while, sometimes he has something to say that has genuine value in the industry. There are things that he says that are inspiring to anyone who takes inspiration from it, right? And there are some times where he's like so unclear, but he's like about to get there, right? And this was one of those moments, because what he was basically saying was that Drake and some of these artists, they were being artificially pumped up They were being force-fed to us. We could not get away from them. And he took issue with it because he was like, look, you're being lied to. Something is being sold to you that is not genuine. Something is being sold to you that is completely artificial. It's a machine built by an industry to take your money. The thing that you're being sold has no soul to it. There's no artistry to it. It's just like a complex compound to take as much money from you as possible, maybe to give you the feeling of something genuine, but it's not there. I promise you. It's all been talked about behind closed doors. They've all come up with a plan to take as much of your money as possible, to take as much of your attention as possible, and to have you feeling like you're connected to some of the most hollow people who have ever lived, right? But instead of saying that, he goes, radio lied to you. So understandably, in the moment, people didn't quite understand what he was trying to say. You know? And then there's another interview more recently during the beef when it started where, you know, Ye basically says he was, and it's something that a lot of Drake stans brought up, where he was like, a lot of us involved were just so excited about the destruction of Drake, you know? And they were excited because depending on who you talk to, Drake been a menace for a minute. Like Drake has been sleeping with people's very significant others. You know, he's been doing like shady stuff. There's people who've worked on projects with Drake, and then he went ahead and even though he worked on the project with them and was happy to collab and everything, releases a project that's kind of like theirs right before, just to. There's things he's being accused of that are like, none of it is illegal, but a lot of it is terrible, right? And so, you know, Ye had his own issue with him, Drake, Kardashians, all that stuff. And so he was like, what people don't understand about Drake is that he has a rich baby daddy named Lucian, and Lucian was the top of UMG. And so now at the top of UMG, you have someone pushing Drake nonstop. And if you heard Scorpion, I don't know how you missed it, but it was the most pushed album maybe of all time. Basically, if you got on Spotify, there were people that sued Spotify because they were like, everywhere I go is Drake. I can't click away from Drake. He's coming up on playlists that have nothing to do with him just to push Drake. You will literally type in, look, I'm looking for like a little gym bob to get like some exercise too, but I really want it to be mellow, like a little Regina Spektor or something like that, but a little bit more tempo than like a Regina Spektor. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake and braids? Like, you know, you'd be like, I want some hard rock, like something classic, something that is maybe like hair metal, you know, like some of that glam punk to it and everything. And then Spotify would be like, do you mean Drake making a mean face? And you know, he files these lawsuits, and the internet comes for him. They come for him in a way that I thought the beef was bad, but the way that the internet came for this man when he sued, they were calling him Aubrey Graham Cracker. They were quoting lyrics from him. It was I don't know, it was kind of hard to watch. Like I don't even like Drake, and I was like, man, this is a lot. This is, you know, but he sues, and I think a lot of people don't understand what the defamation suit is about. Very quickly, basically, he sues first UMG for what he's saying is botting Kendrick, making it so that Kendrick's song Not Like Us is more successful than it actually should have been, right? Making it more popular through bots and through like manipulation because they made it cheaper for it to get streams, which means more people would play it and stuff like that. They lifted some of the copyright so more people would do reviews of it and stuff. And then he sues for defamation, right? And the defamation is still, once again, this is a petition. This isn't like a full-on lawsuit for damages, but it's basically saying that UMG shouldn't have let Kendrick release Not Like Us because of what it said in there about Drake and them knowing that it was false, right? And this is my thing about that. It's weird that he that he sued for Not Like Us but not Meet the Grams, which was so much worse. If you don't know, there's a song called Meet the Grams where, like, Kendrick talked to his whole family, talked to his son. It was everyone. That's defamation. I felt like he was defamed, as in less famous right then. Like this. It's kind of wild, you know? But here's the thing. This is why some people are on Drake's side. And I'm not just talking about Drake's stance, right? What he is alleging is that basically UMG, who he's been in this contract with, he got a $400 million contract from them in the earlier part of the 2020s, right? And he made the money back so fast, they start renegotiating again. And if you make $400 million back quickly, they probably gonna need to pay you $600, maybe $800, who knows? And that $400 million contract was the biggest contract in music history, right? And so now he's taking these people to task in a way and at a time that is scary for the music industry. You know, music industry is losing market share day by day. I'm a firm believer that no matter what music you like, I don't care what it is, I don't care what genre, you personally, you have not met your favorite artist yet. That's true. You haven't met your favorite artist at all. You have to keep listening. You have to keep looking. Your favorite artist is out there and they're trying to get to you, but there's a machine in the way, right? And so the same machine that built Drake up is the machine that is genuinely in the way of artists who are trying to get to you to be your favorite. Because you already have this connection. You just haven't heard their music yet, but it's coming. Right? You just have to keep looking. And it's hard to look right now because of basically what Drake is alleging, that UMG, some of these big ones, they use payola, they use all these things to make sure that their artists are the only artists that you hear, so that your favorite is the best of what's been presented to you, right? And it's a tough thing because to call UMG out for it, for Kendrick, without acknowledging that it Like you know because you were. Yeah, I mean, like that's a tough one. That's yeah, I mean, that would be like somebody at Goldman Sachs being like, they stealing all your money. I'm like, yeah, okay, all right, I believe you, but weren't you an executive? Yeah, but I'm suing because they stole from me too. They have no scruples at all. They'll steal from anybody. This is unacceptable. You know? And so what Drake is basically alleging is that through the beef they had with Kendrick, UMG actually picked Kendrick and they built him up as much as possible to tear Drake down so that when he came back to the table and he was going to ask for more than his $400 million, they could look him in his eye and say, your stock has gone down. You're not what you used to be. You can't sell the same tickets. You don't get the same streams. How about we give you $350? And it's a lot. It's not the same. It's not the same at all. But it's something similar. I see a lot of what is happening with Drake right now, at least in regards with UMG. I'm talking specifically on this part of the suit, not the defamation, anything. I'm talking about the way that he's in a negotiation with UMG while something else is going on in his life, and it's hindering that negotiation, right? It reminds me of something that happened with Michael Jackson, because Michael Jackson got so powerful with Sony that he both found out and then accused publicly his lawyers and Sony of working together because he was becoming too powerful. He was owning too much. He was owning too much music. This man had the rights to the Beatles. Like, that's crazy. And so he said, Sony is trying to hurt me because they're not promoting my album in an era that didn't have streaming in that way. They botched my album just to try to get things from me that are mine, And it's similar to Drake in a way because both of them were the biggest artists at the time. Biggest artists in the world, right? And they're both like... Just hear me out. They were both... Listen. They're both black men that everyone called white, right? And I think that some of that, a part of that, is definitely present in people's feelings on the suit, right? Because there are some people that obviously think it's funny. I kind of think it's funny, you know what I mean? But then there are people who I've heard from and who I genuinely agree with that you can't get away from the fact You cannot get away from the fact that these two individuals, even though their suits are not the same, even though their situations are not the same, these are two individuals who built themselves up to be the biggest in the world. And when it came time for a company to pay them, maybe they did whatever they had to do to not have to do that. Now, I don't believe, personally, the botting thing, because people genuinely were dancing to Not Like Us. People were genuinely losing their minds to Not Like Us. Like, I guess I believe the bot angle that Drake has if he thinks all black people were bots. Like, that's kind of what it would take. You know bots. You know how bots be. And look, when it comes to the bot thing, I'm not gonna lie to you. I've done a version of what Drake is doing in my head, just personally, because bots are all around us, and they're actually one of the reasons we fight so much. You think that everyone disagrees with you online. I'm not saying everyone agrees, but not everyone has the vitriol waiting for you, that it feels like it. We found that a lot of some of the nastiest things that get said online are bots from other countries just to stir people up, you know? And the bot has no investment in whether or not you actually get outraged, but it's just rage bait that's literally made to whether it's to keep you on an app or to distract you. Bots are everywhere, right? And I sometimes take that to my emotional advantage. You know? Like if I get into an argument with somebody online and they make a good point, I'm like, that's a damn bot right there. That's like I used to be on the apps back in the day, and you know I would sometimes meet somebody, chat with them a while, then go on a date and everything. Maybe the date wouldn't work out, but I didn't get their number, and so I messaged them again on the app, and they don't respond. Like they ghost me, and I'm like, that damn bot's something else. These bots are out here wilding, right? Like, you know. I remember I got to argue with my mom, and she was making some really good points, and she was really like letting me know that she was disappointed in my actions and everything, and really told me why. I broke it down, how she didn't raise me to act the way I had been acted and stuff like that. And I went ahead and typed in the text, because I saw the text bubbling and everything, and I knew more was coming. And I was like, look, I'm gonna have to cut this bot off. Like this. Don't have time for bots. It's a good tactic to take. Anything in your life not going the way you want, call it a bot. And I read and I talked to people as much as I could when the beef was going down. And I talked to Kendrick stans, I talked to Drake stans, I talked to people who did not listen to hip hop at all, who really didn't have a stake in the race at all. And there were people that were saying like, oh man, the only reason Kendrick stopped dropping diss tracks is because he was scared Drake was gonna hurt himself. Then I talked to people that were like, no, Drake dropped last, so the ball is in Kendrick's court, right? I heard delusional takes, I heard erratic takes, I heard takes that were just sort of blah, whatever. It's two grown men rhyming at each other, I don't care. Like, I heard it all. What I did not hear from Drake stans or hip-hop fans at all, the entire beef was, he should sue. That smells like a lawsuit. Never came out of anybody's mouth, right? And so understandably, there are people that are upset with Drake for suing, because it's like, wow, if you sue and then you win, what does that do to battle rap? What does that do to hip-hop? Hip-hop literally has artists talking about other artists being like, I'm going to sleep with your baby mama. Will they still do that if that person can sue for damages? There's something that is that's like linked that can't be broken about hip hop and a sort of distance from power, right? Like if you're in the streets or if you are street, you're not supposed to be in court unless they catch you. You're not supposed to. You see what I mean? It just feels a lot to me, everything that's happening right now between Drake, Kendrick, and UMG feels a lot like what happened between Deontay Wilder and Tyson Fury in boxing, right? Because you look at Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder, two heavyweights. In case you've never watched boxing, I'll make it very simple for you. Two heavyweights in the world that were number one and number two, right? And we rarely get that in a lifetime, that the best in the world is fighting the second best in the world. And Tyson Fury is a world-class boxer, and Deontay Wilder hits really hard, okay? He's not quite as good of a boxer as Tyson, but he hits so hard, you think that he must knock the soul out of people, right? And so, sure enough, they fight. And in the first fight, Deontay Wilder knocks down Tyson Fury in like such devastating fashion that when he hit the ground, personally, so he got knocked out for a second with his eyes open, and I thought he was dead. I was sure I had seen something terrible. Like I was sitting there just looking around, even though I knew I was the only one in the room. And Tyson Fury had been through a lot. He had battled his way back from addiction, from some serious mental health issues. He talked about wanting to take his life and everything. And this man gets knocked down by Deontay Wilder in one of the later rounds. Even though he had been putting in good work the entire fight, this punch came out of nowhere and it knocks him down. And then out of nowhere, he blinks. And a part of me was like, he might still be dead. That's a reflex. I've heard of dead people blinking. That doesn't. And then he blinks again, and then he gets up, and he gets up all at once, just sort of rolls himself up and stands up, and the world is shocked. It's one of the biggest moments that year in sports. How did this dude get up? That feels impossible, right? This man sits up, stands up. And even Deontay Wilder is like, I thought you were dead. Deontay, like, he wasn't on camera in this moment from this angle, but he was probably looking at his fist like, I thought I killed him. That's okay. And they finished the fight, and the fight is a draw. And a lot of people thought that Tyson won the fight. And a lot of people said that it was a draw because boxing is rigged and it's corrupt and everything like that. I'm willing to believe both those things, but basically they did have to fight again because it was a draw. So neither one of them had lost their O yet, right? Second fight, Deontay Wilder shows up ready. And in his mind, he's like, I almost killed this dude the first time. So I'm gonna knock him out this time. It's gonna be simple. It's gonna be easy. I'm gonna get right to it, right? I actually gave him a little too much respect. I backed up a little bit. Go in, right? And Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder and beats him pretty bad. And I kind of thought he might beat him because I saw the documentary and the lead up, and there were people talking about like, oh, you know, Deontay's been knocking out his training partners when they're just holding the pads and stuff. And I'm like, that sound like he doesn't have aim. That's... You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a boxer, but if somebody holding the pad here and you knock that man out, you missed. So, you know, Deontay Wilder gets beat in that second fight. They throw in the towel and everything. And Deontay cannot accept that he lost the fight. He actually cannot accept it. He literally says, like, no, he must have cheated then. Because I almost killed this dude. This dude must have cheated. And he takes him on this long campaign. They try to investigate him, everything. They even pull out a clause where they have to do a third fight, even though Tyson wants to go and fight someone else now, and he goes on a whole campaign where he's like, no, this guy cheated. He must have cheated if he beat me because I had him. This dude, we thought he was dead. I had this dude, and then he just beats me like that. There had to have been something, maybe he had brass knuckles in his glove. There were all of these theories going around, even in the boxing world and stuff. And that's what happened to Drake. Drake didn't believe Kendrick could beat him. He was like, no, too many people on my side. I'm too popular. I'm too big. I'm genuinely too big to fail. He thought, even though he was going into contract renegotiations with UMG, let me go ahead and have the sparring session with Kendrick. Number one, number two, going at it. It's going to get a ton of buzz. And then after I beat this dude, I'll be able to come to the table and be like, pay me my $800 million. Because I just took out supposedly the best rapper, right? And then it didn't happen that way. And so now he's saying, you must have cheated. There's no way, you know? And this is a genuine mistake. Because now, if this actually follows all the way through and goes from a petition into a lawsuit, Not Like Us is going to go into public court records. A stenographer is going to have to type out the lyrics to Not Like Us. I don't think he thought it through. Do you know what I mean? Because, and this, look, maybe this is me being a hater. This is me making some assumptions. I'm just throwing it out there. This is what I think. I think genuinely that Drake's lawyer is definitely white. And so now I'm worried for Drake's lawyer that he's going to be in a predicament where he has to defend his client from the and then read out the lyrics to Not Like Us. Now look, rap lyrics in court is nothing new. Rap lyrics get used to, send rappers to jail. It gets used against them and in all these different ways. It's nothing new. But whenever you're in court and you got to read the lyrics, usually court likes to still keep things proper. So they'll probably do some replacements. You know what I mean? Like, I think when Drake's lawyer gets to the end where he's going to have to be creative. He's going to have a different word in there. Probably something like, gentlemen. He's going to be standing there having to read the lyrics to make his point. He's going to be standing in front of maybe a jury. Who knows, right? He's standing there. Okay. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. Party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case. Why is he around? Certified lover boy. Certified. Your Honor. Wop, 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 wop. Dot, F them up. Wop, 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 wop. I'm gonna do my stuff. Why you trolling like a female dog? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord. And that's a lot of O's. And it's probably I'll try. A. Minor. I'm sorry, I'll do one quick correction here. They're missing an apostrophe R-E here. They're not like us. They're not like us. They're not... Actually, I'll just take away the contract. They are not like us. They are not like us. They are not like us. No. It's brutal. It's absolutely brutal, you know. And I'm torn because there's things in this suit that if it goes through, if they can prove that UMG and even some of the other big labels are still using payola, maybe they have to do such a big payout that they make it not worth it to do it again. You know, that's a genuine hope that I have. Or maybe the government can look at these labels, look how much power they have, and you know, it's unlikely, but break them up a bit. Right? They're already losing market share with us, the people. They already don't have the power that they used to have. Right? No matter how much they push, no matter how much they repeat, sometimes it just doesn't work. Because we know they're doing it, by the way. We already know they're doing it because we know when we look at charts and they're like, this is the top artist. And we're like, who? I've never heard of this person at all. Do you, I guess. You know? So if the structure came tumbling down, that would help the little guy, the new artist. The artist has been trying this whole time to break through. Reminds me of the story of Samson, right? Make it very short. Samson was very strong, loses his strength, and then becomes enslaved by the Philistines. And then while he's between two pillars, he begs God, give me my strength back. Give me my strength back so I can take revenge on the Philistines. And God gives him his strength back just for that little bit of time, just for that time that it took to push the pillars, crack them, break it down, and bring it down on him and the Philistines. And I think that's what could be happening here. You know, because I don't know how Drake moves on from this at all, whether he wins or he loses. But I know that he might be able to bring the structure down with him, on him, right? And there is a genuine part of me that's split because I don't think that the bots thing happened in that way. I'm sure that generally it happens with every big artist. I will say that. I think no matter who you are, there's probably bots pushing, pulling, whatever. I don't think it's enough to make someone number one, but I do think that it must just happen, right? But the part that I can't get over is that, like, as much as I don't like Drake, that's a black man trying to get paid what he's worth. You know, he made that money back for them. They should pay him. They do owe him. And I don't think they used Kendrick. I think Kendrick is not only an incredible artist, but he was at the right place at the right time. I think if this beef had happened in any other time, maybe it wouldn't have gone the way that it went. I think Kendrick is smart with his timing. He's obviously brilliant with his music. And I think that he knew this is it, right? You speak on me, I speak on you. But even Kendrick said in Euphoria, still love when you see success, right? His rival, this person he can't stand. So even Kendrick, to some degree, probably thinks, I hate you. Don't get me wrong. If you fail right now, that'd be hilarious. Like, I hate you. But also, you made them that money. You know? Because there's no real proof, which I think actually hurts Drake's case. There's no real proof that he is not going to make a comeback because he's still one of the number one trending artists without releasing an album this year, even as he lost all that stock. And the stock he can get back quickly. I'll tell you how. I don't know if he'll be able to do it, but all he has to do is be like, y'all, look, y'all, could be an Instagram story. He loves that. Instagram story where he comes to us, the people, and he just says, look, y'all, all right, maybe this isn't the way. He got me. All right, I got God. But you know what? I got something for you, my fans. I have new music coming, and I hope you love it. That's it. Let it go. You know what I mean? You got God. This stuff is way weirder. You're clearly spinning out. If anything, it makes me more afraid of Kendrick because you gotta remember first lines of Euphoria. superpowers getting neutralized. Famous actor, once knew, was looking paranoid. Now he's spiraling. Who lets you sue as a rapper? You gotta be spiraling to do it. That's like being a bona fide gangster and getting shot and then being like, police! You know? I don't know. I think that, Kendrick caused a full release of the culture, of the movement. People are excited, revitalizing hip hop. There's a chance that with this suit, if he wins, if he follows it all the way through and he wins, that Drake could loose the people from the industry in a small way. And there's a chance that you could get to meet your favorite artist. I guess I'll just end it most appropriately with a line from J. Cole. I love to see a black man get paid. I've had quite a week still trying to distill all of my thoughts and feelings around the presidential debate. Okay. I live in New York, and in New York there are a lot of parks, and in some of those parks you'll see, it's like an iconic thing about New York, that there'll be somebody playing chess in the park, right? And sometimes they're just two old men playing chess or checkers. Sometimes it's somebody that's like, hey, I'll play anybody, I'm practicing for a tournament. And a lot of times it's somebody who's playing chess, but they're playing for like money. Like, you put 5 down, I bet you can't beat me, and I'll put 5 down, and we'll see. And then, speed chess as well. They got the clock next to them, bow, 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 right? And I've played before, and I'm not good at chess. And it's crazy how fast you can lose. Sometimes I'll be playing chess in the park, and he'll be like, checkmate, but it sounds like there's no way. Then I'll grab, I have a chess book. And I'll look at the board and look at the book. Like, damn, okay. That wasn't that many moves. I don't know what else I was supposed to do. And I don't know, I feel like watching the election and watching the debate felt a lot like that. It felt like bad chess moves. We've watched a lot of debates that Trump has been in, and we've gone 2 for 2 this year with having remarkably historic debates, both of which were like, whew. You know what I mean? Like, you get done and you're like, whew. Felt like I was up there. And there was a moment in the first debate that was echoed in this debate. There was a moment back when Trump was debating Biden, and I've talked about it before, where there's a second there where Trump looked at Biden, and for a split second, he wasn't trying to be president. He wasn't even trying to debate. He was literally like, hey, he good? Like, no, y'all, stop. Is he good, though? It was a different tactic than we've ever seen before from Kamala debating Trump, because she debated him the way that I think a lot of us might debate him. I'm not going to speak for anybody in here, anybody listening to me. I don't know if you're like a political analyst. I don't know how involved you are with politics, but she debated him the way that I think we debate him sometimes in our heads, which is to be like, what did you just... Because most politicians are not... Hear me out. Most politicians don't behave like people. And when I say that, I want you to understand, I mean, maybe they care about people, maybe they care about getting something good done, maybe they care about forwarding their agenda, but they don't react to things and they don't behave like people, like just regular people. It's why they feel fake. It's because they can't just be like, ah, shit. You see, man? Do you see what I mean? And it's why people from 2015 on have gravitated towards Trump, because he feels like they would react. Like he will say, oh, shit. But then you look at someone like Kamala, and she's a very polished person, very accomplished person. But in that debate, she was having moments that for the first time ever felt like moments that we might have up there. Does that make sense? Like when Trump would debate other Republicans leading up to the nomination, or when Trump would debate Hillary or Biden, there was a sense of like, wait, are you not going to say anything about the thing that he just said just now? Why are you staring forward, acting like what you heard wasn't wrong? Why are you like looking to the moderators to fact check? There's nothing more exhausting than when someone who could be a good player is looking at the ref to be like, help. You know what I mean? You say he's lying right now. Like he just lied now, so say it now. Don't later be like, and then they didn't even help. Do you see what I mean? We've watched it happen. We've watched, he was in those debates. Republicans did not know what to do with this man. He was over there telling Ted Cruz to his face, your wife is ugly. And because Ted Cruz doesn't move like a person, doesn't react like a person, he didn't slap him in his face in that moment. No, Trump has shown that the American people were ready and willing for someone unorthodox. You know how much he would have surged in the polls if he had walked over from his podium and was like, what? And then slapped Trump in his face. I know at least his wife would have liked it. I don't even remember what he said about Marco Rubio. I just remember Marco Rubio looking littler and littler every day. Marco Rubio started showing up. I was like, is he 4'8"? Nobody knew what to do. Journalists didn't know what to do. Journalists were like, but you can't say that about the press. But he did it. What are you going to do? And so now you watch this debate with Kamala, and we've all heard it and probably said it ourselves, that she baited him a lot, but he bit every time. And this is my thing with that, is that decorum aside, don't you want someone representing you that could maybe let something slide? It's got to be tough to be in the public eye. It's got to be tough to be and feel slighted all the time by lots of people that you meet that you don't know, and they hate you. But also, you're here to do a job. You're here to do a job on the highest level. So a lot of people won't like you. No matter who wins as president, there will be people who are very upset. Do you really want someone who could be so easily irked? Kamala said, nobody. Kamala said that people leave his rallies early out of boredom and maybe confusion. I don't remember the other thing she said, but she said people were leaving early. And this is what's so interesting about that. We can talk about how much it's warranted or how much of it he egged on or whatever, but there has not been in a very long time a political figure that is as hated as Trump by a lot of people. So a lot of people have said every type of thing about him. A lot of people have drawn him. Do you know how much you gotta hate somebody to draw them? A lot of people... Drawings take time. It's one thing to curse somebody out real quick. It's a totally different thing to... No, wait, I'm getting his ass. I'm gonna take break, but when I get back, he about to get it, all right? So all manner of things have been said to and about him, about himself, about his family, about how he behaves, about how he actually feels, about Americans in America, all of it. But this thing hadn't been said. And it turns out that this was the thing to say. This was the thing. If you're talking about feelings, this was the thing. And look, as someone raised by black women, don't. Black women know how to hurt feelings. Only a black woman would be like, no, go to his little rally and see him. That's how confident she was in what she was saying, that she told us to go. She was like, look, I'm gonna do something I wouldn't normally do. Go ahead and go. You'll leave early, don't worry. That was the thing. That was the thing. And you could see it happen. You could see it, on his face, you could see it happen. This dude who has held the highest office has been called a traitor. He's been called a Russian asset. He's been called all manner of things. But this was the thing. And it's because deep down at his core, even his supporters will admit that deep down at the base of who he is, Trump is an entertainer. And all I'm saying is, as a fellow entertainer, if someone had said, Josh, people leave your shows early. Out of boredom and confusion, I'd be like, oh, okay, we fighting, say less. This was the thing. That was the thing that like broke through this weird armor. Because I've noticed that Trump specifically has a thing that has always kind of existed in politics, but has never existed to this degree, right? Where Trump has a filter created by his base, by the people who like him, love him, and everything, that he can say whatever he wants, but they will distill it for him for the rest of us. He'll say whatever. And then they will be like, what he meant was... But what he meant shouldn't have been what he said. Because he said this and you're saying he meant something else, but he also had access to the words you just said. So are you sure he meant what you're saying and not what he said? I'd like to think that when you say something as the commander-in-chief, you mean what you said when you said it. You didn't say something being like, they'll figure it out. And because he has that filter, because that sort of buffer exists between him and like sound arguments and logic, I don't even mean that as like a diss. I literally mean he could say something and then it could spin out past something that he meant for real, right? Because as an example, that's like Trump's vaccine. I know we forget that, and I've talked about it before, but that's like, as far as presidents go, as far as you getting credit for the things you do while you're president, that's Trump's vaccine. But when he tried to say, guys, we did it, we have a vaccine, and his audience booed, he realized what it's like. Oh, I don't necessarily control what goes out, even though I said it. I said you should get vaccinated, and then they booed me. So clearly, it's not like a one-to-one. What I say is not, it won't be exactly what they do. So now I'm also trying to figure out how to like keep them on my side, but win them over, but lead them. I think in that moment you saw him get really worried and confused, and he immediately backtracked. He was like, or don't. And I said all of that to say that the screen, the buffer, the thing that he usually has, I'm not saying he lost it for good in this debate, but he did lose it a little bit. Because I grew up in Louisiana, and I know people who are like hardcore in the MAGA movement, like people who are like, no, Trump is the guy. He is going to fix everything, right? I've grown up with these people, and we know each other well. And this was the first time that they were like, that wasn't great. Because even in debates against Hillary, they were like, no, okay, he said the thing, and I know it's a good soundbite for you liberals, but like, this is what he meant. And the thing that they're saying he meant, which is what they heard, which is what they decided to hear, is a reasonable thing when they start saying it from their mouth. So now I'm like, oh, okay, if that's what you think, that's what he said, then I can see why you're still like really gung-ho while I'm more put off by what he said, you know? But this was the first time that there was almost like a shared language. There was like a shared reality around like, what's happening to him right now? And he started to spiral, and he said, hey, look, they asked him a question. I can't remember if it was about immigration or the economy, but they asked him a question that should have been a layup for him. And he was still like, can I address the rallies for a second? Which, as a fellow entertainer, I understand. If someone had said that to me, I would have also been like, hey, listen, let me explain, all right? It was a Friday late show. They were tired, okay? You can't put that on me. And he said, can I address the rallies real quick? Because people don't go to her rallies, all right? They don't go to her rallies at all. The people that go to her rallies, she got to bust them in, and then they don't even have fun while they're there. She doesn't have any snacks. Now I'm paraphrasing, but like... But he did. He hit back with like rallies. They asked him underhanded. Should have knocked it out of the park, and he got distracted by rallies and crowd size and things that make sense as a priority if you're an entertainer. But if you're about to be the leader of the free world, they shouldn't matter as much. You know? And you could see him kind of spiraling after that because he was a little frustrated by like this thing that broke through. Then that never happens. Trump is a very hard person to debate because people like him are very hard to debate because they're not trying to have a debate with you. They're trying to make you look dumb. And because Trump is like very good at making other people look dumb, he's very good at debating. You see what I mean? But this was the first time that he was like, what is she talking about? My crowd. And so, you know, he had a bit of a spiral. And before you know it, he was like, look, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating... And you could tell in that moment that Trump wanted to say another animal, but he couldn't think of one. Because he says pets, but pets is off rhythm. If you go back and watch, it's like they're eating the dogs, they're eating cats, they're eating... And you can see for a split second the wheels turn of he's like trying to think of, they're eating the bird. No, we all eat birds. They're eating the pets. You know? And then, you know, Kamala does a thing, and it's a thing that we've done when we've been watching debates, when we've been watching rallies, when we've been watching them on the news. She does a thing that we've done before, that a lot of other politicians have not done on stage with Trump. She laughed at him. And I think there's context to that laugh, because I'm not trying to get too, like, I don't know, like too much of a deep dive into it, but like there's context with that laugh because she's not laughing at him, she's laughing at what he said. And that's really different. It's one thing to say Trump is a joke and Trump is a joke, and you could make the argument that the reason Trump became president was because Obama made him a joke. Do you remember that? Do you remember that? Obama made fun of this man and he just sat there quiet, you know? And then years later, he was like, peaceful transition of power, huh? There's a big difference between laughing at Trump and laughing at what he said. You can think that Trump is a joke all you want, but he laughed his way to the presidency. But then when you laugh at what he says, when you take the power out of what he's saying, that's a very different thing. You know? She laughed at what he said for a second. And then there was a second. It was very slight, but there was a second where she was still smiling, but she wasn't laughing. And then there was a second where she wasn't smiling and she wasn't laughing. And it was reminiscent of like, yo, Yo. No. Wait, yo. You know? And that's my thing, is I'm like, I look at that, I'm like, wow, that's different, you know? It was very, very different. And the thing I've noticed in both these debates is that they're not even about who did well. They're just about who did the least poorly. That's what we get stuck on. Like, last debate wasn't even about Trump performing well, it was about Biden crashing out. And then this debate wasn't as much about Kamala winning as much as Trump. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. They're eating flamingos. They're eating the pets. No. And it was the first time in all the times that he's debated that Trump looked 78. Because he's 78. And he's got a lot of energy, so we let a lot of those years slide. We don't feel like he's 78. You know what I mean? Like I've known grandpas like Trump. I've known grandpas that were like, oh, he's got so much energy and he's so spry. And he's eating a lot of fast food. But he's 78. You know what I mean? But I guess this is one of my main things about it, is that like, it was the first time I saw him look out of his element on like a really important moment, you know? And I don't want people to think that this is like, that's it. That's all that needed. Not at all. It's harrowing how little it actually moved the needle. Almost everyone feels the way they felt before, even after we saw what we saw. And we agree that it didn't go well for one person. But we're still like, nah, I'm still gonna go the way I was gonna go. That's interesting, you know, that after all of this, they're like tied. Wow. They're tied. In lots of places, they're tied. It's not even like it's working out to be a tie because all this place and all this. No, in a lot of places, they watch that and they were like, I don't know. That's pretty wild, you know? The first time he really looked 78, because it was the first time he said something that like a grandpa would say right before you put him in a home. You know what I mean? Because be honest. If you let a lot of stuff slide as like a child or grandchild, and then grandpa been living by himself. But if one day out of nowhere, and you haven't seen where he saw this on the internet, he just walks up and he's like, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cat. You're like, okay, that's the last straw. I let you put the remote in the mailbox several times. But this is the one that I can't abide. This is, because it really has consequence. And I think that we live well enough here, even though I'm not even pretending things are just phenomenal. I'm just saying day to day, by and large, we do get by. And I think that when you get by, especially comfortably, it can feel like a game. You know, it can feel like something that doesn't matter as much. You know, and it can feel like something that you're just playing at. And I think that, you know, it's important to remember that all the things that these people say, these are very powerful people already, and one of them is going to become even more powerful. Everything that they say, everything they do has ripple effects. You know, they're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. It's like a meme. It's like a thing that's starting up. But it's also, which is very, very important, because we did a thing back in 2014, and we've done it ever since, that I don't know how to fix it. I'm just saying what happened from 2014 on. Anyone online that was even all the way from like crazy people down to people who were slightly conservative, right? From 2014 on, were just called Nazis outright. Right? Anything. And even a question, oh, you Nazi, right? To the point where Nazi started to not mean anything. And when it doesn't mean anything, it's hard to make it mean something when like an actual Nazi shows up, right? And I want to be clear here. The thing that Trump said, it is a lie started by a neo-Nazi. I don't care how many people on Twitter try to find something to make it make sense after the fact. It's a thing that a guy said at a community meeting where he was specifically targeting the Haitian community, and he said that we will not be safe the more Haitians we let into. That's also the other part of the soundbite. Outside of the dogs and cats, this dude was specifically saying, and he gets kicked out of the community meeting. That part also didn't make it into the viral clip, right? And so when people are saying, well, I saw, and they have these fourth-hand accounts of like my brother's, sister's, uncle's girlfriend has a cat that's missing. And they try to put stuff together. There's even a video going around of some people cooking a cat that's from a year ago and not in Springfield. And then that became like evidence. There's another picture of a guy that was walking with two geese that they said he was on his way to go cook, when actually it was found out that this dude was pulling these geese away from a car accident where they got hit, and that he's probably not Haitian. But even so, death threats, bomb threats, all of this horrible, horrific stuff has been happening to the Haitian community to the point where apparently, maybe this isn't true, but apparently even the person in the Facebook group that first posted about, oh, my niece's cat is missing, and thinking, she has even come out and been like, I never meant for it to turn into this. That was just a Facebook post. Maybe she was having a goof with a friend. She didn't think it would come out of the mouth of the former president in a debate where he was flailing. So all these things have real consequences. It's not a game, and we are not chess pieces, you know? And even after the debate, you know, it almost like hijacked the whole narrative of Trump losing the debate and Kamala winning it. Now it became about this weird thing with hate. And it's also already, in that little bit of time since the debate, switched into Africans, because now they were just like, oh, wait, we got it wrong. It's not Haitians, it's Africans that are eating the dogs and cats. And so now it's already shifted just to try to find some truth out of a thing that was a lie, right? And you have J.D. Vance afterwards, who, you know, pretty much probably fed that to Trump. And he's sitting there talking to Collins in an interview, talking about, okay, whether we find out that this is somewhat true or only a little bit true, was not willing to call it a lie, right? He says that, you know, we don't have evidence. This is me paraphrasing just for the sake of brevity, but basically we don't have evidence that there's no evidence. And the thing that is like so brain broken about that logic is that it creates a tidal wave of insanity until you can finally make something that you want to be true, right? Because it could ruin anybody's life. For instance, when you look at J.D. Vance, there is no evidence that there's no evidence that he didn't bang a couch. Do you see? Like, do you see how that's an unending thing? How it could ruin your life and never go away? How you can't even sit anymore? Because people see you next to a love seat and wonder? Do you see how insane that is? A lie that we know is a lie? But we'll work our way to figure out how we can make it true, you know? So just please, I mean, look, we watched the debate, and it was everything from a little bit boring at times to thrilling. We shouldn't even be debating like this anymore, to be honest with you. We've ruined the debate. The debate is too much like a chess game now, where it's like 90 seconds, make your move, make your move. That's not how you solve problems. When you go back before debates were televised, the people that showed up were willing to be there for hours. And the candidates had a long time to lay out their position. So there actually wasn't as much of a chance to fully dodge questions, because they were like, what are you going to do about immigration? And you have until you figure it out. But when it's 90 seconds, you can be like, what are you going to do about immigration? Well, I believe is time up yet? You know, they used to take forever, because that's as long as it takes to figure out a problem. And it's as long as it takes to figure out what someone's real piece on something is, you know? If you could figure out big problems in 90 seconds, we probably wouldn't have any, you know? So just watching this thing of like, and then, and then, it feels crazy. It makes me feel crazy because I'm like, yeah, that's not going to work. They're not going to make us feel like they have a plan in 90 seconds, you know? And there's too much of an opportunity to get derailed, you know? There was one point where it felt like maybe the only time in the debate where Kamala seemed a little angry. There was only one point, and I don't even remember exactly what led up to it, but she basically was talking about how Trump, which I forgot this happened, because when you live in like a 24-hour, 36-hour news cycle, everything is just sort of going, and there's no time to latch on to anything that matters, and there's no time for like real nuance of an issue. You're just going and going and going. But he did invite the Taliban to Camp David. And I remember when that happened being like, aren't they not supposed to be? The Taliban. Okay. And I remember that moment distinctly because out of nowhere, Kamala turned to Trump and said, this. And you can tell she's trying to find a word that won't get bleeped. And I know it because she had to reset. She actually closed her eyes for a second. This. Once again, as someone who was raised by black women, anytime my mama looked at me and went, you. In her mind, she killed me. You know, in her mind, my life flashed before her eyes. She would come back. This former president. All right, that one will work. You know, she pointed out something that we all saw. We just didn't seem to remember. Or maybe it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, you know. It's important to remember that we're not like just playing teams. It feels very much like teams, which I think is why so many people are like dug in, and no matter what happens, they're like, I'm not switching teams. But this is not a game, and we're not chess pieces. You know, it's very important. You register to vote. It's very important that you go vote and everything, because it's not going to be won by memes. You know, you can't like internet your way to fixing everything, you know? Because I don't know. I don't know how everyone in this room feels or anyone watching feels. I just know that like I just want to feel comfortable with who is representing me out in the world and in front of the country. I want someone who is willing to maybe move a little bit like I would move. Maybe play chess the way I play chess. And I'm not even good at chess. You know, I just, you know, we all, everyone, no matter where you fall on party lines or anything, everybody wants somebody with a plan. And they asked them. They asked him, it's you want to repeal and replace Obamacare, and you say that you have a plan. We're asking right now, what is your plan and how would you enact it? And he didn't answer the first time. But when they asked again, they were like, after 9 years, what is your plan to repeal and replace Obamacare? Because I need to be clear here that, like, if something is a good idea, a really good idea, I don't care what party it comes from. If something is a smart idea, because I am not playing teams, because I don't feel like this is a game. This feels very real. The things that get said in a presidential debate that are funny, that are a joke for a little while, lead to death threats and bomb threats in real life. All of this is real. So if somebody has a plan and it's a good plan, not only will I hear it out, I might even help them try to make it happen, because it helps a lot of people and it gets us somewhere, right? And so they asked him, after 9 years trying to repeal and replace Obamacare, what is your plan? And he was like, look, I have concepts of a plan. I'm starting to feel like if he had repealed and replaced Obamacare back when he was president, not only would we not have health care, but I'm pretty sure our doctors would shoot us.